Welcome to another edition of Resonate with Edgehill and Davis. I'm Owen Edgehill.
And I'm David Davis. Hey,
Right.
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Good.
As always, you kind of. Well, I've been away for a little while as well.
There you are, yeah.
Few days break.
Right.
In sunny France, which wasn't so sunny, but still had a good time.
Parlez-vous français?
Parlez-vous français?
Oui.
That's as much as I know.
And me. Good to see everyone out there. Hope all's well with you.
Yes, as always, and thank you for tuning in yet again.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Right, Dee. I want to have a conversation with you and everyone else out there. Well, first and foremost, how I want to pitch this is: do you get frustrated? That's my opening line to you. Do you get frustrated? And how often would you say you get frustrated in a course of a day?
Every day is different, isn't it? Every day brings something new.
Right.
And if you're asking me, do I get frustrated, which you are, and of course you guys out there, yeah, there's an element where you get frustrated because things that you may plan, and I'm very careful the way I'm going to be using the words of intention and expectations, but things that you plan don't materialise for whatever reason, you can get frustrated. It's how you deal. Sure, for me, it's how you kind of deal with that frustration.
Right.
Because we're only human. We're wired up I talk about this wired up thing, but we are only wired up a particular way. And it's for us to be able to absorb information, good or bad, and feed that information to make the outcome a better one or a worse one for you, the individual.
All right, but when you're in that frustrated state, can you think of what you've just said?
I can.
Do you know what I mean?
I personally can.
Right.
Because again, it's that knowing who you are.
Right.
Inside of there.
Right.
There are times when, before I kind of got to the stage and the level where I kind of could just go, stop, breathe, count to 10, whatever you need to do, to get that calm state of emotional intelligence, for you to be able to act upon what your next movement may be. Rather than, let's take a football match. I say it. Let's say Man United, okay? You go to Old Trafford knowing for years and years and years you've ruled the Premiership. You've won the Champions League, you win the league title, you do the treble, or you've got the Beckhams, you've got the Scott, you've got all of that going on. Alex Ferguson, and the whole world talks about Manchester United. Then Alex leaves, the team kind of just diminishes, you get in other managers, your so-called expectation is risen, you become frustrated with the club. You become frustrated with the directors, the players, the managers, and some people will take it out on in the wrong way by either smashing things up because the ground was leaking and all of that. So they think, well, I'll just rip up some more seats. Why not? It's a tatty old stadium anyway. So you can take your frustration out that way,
right? Because
you're not the team, and it doesn't seem as if you're going to be the team that you used to be for at least another 5 years. I don't know, but the facts are people are frustrated. I know that's just one small example.
Okay.
So it's how you deal with that frustration.
Right.
Is it in your control to deal with your own frustration? Is it in your control to deal with something like Manchester United? Well, no, it's not. So why are you frustrated? Why are you getting so frustrated? Deal with it within yourself. I think I spoke off camera to you about actually being in control of yourself and not letting things get on top of you. Though the initial thing is, yes, let it absorb all this information and you can kick off, but there comes a time when you've got to be able to go, I need to control this, because a lot of the stuff that's going on here, I can't control it.
Okay. That's your take on it. That's fine. What's
Yeah.
everybody else's take on it?
I mean, it'd be nice to hear what your take is.
Well, there is a school of thought which I kind of subscribe to, connecting with frustration. And it goes like this. It says frustration becomes when we try to get external events to conform with our inner fantasies or demands, right? So when I think about my frustrations, and I ask you whether you get frustrated, and everybody else, as I do, and I connect it with what I've just said. So whether we're frustrated on we want more money from the work that we do, whether we're frustrated with the weather, whether we're frustrated with what's going on in the world, whether we're frustrated with that we want to live in a better house than we're living in now, or we want to drive a better car, that concept to me, in terms of trying to get external events to conform with our inner fantasies or demands, rings true. So for me, in terms of the way I look at it, and I think we all should look at it like that, is why do we want something to be the way we want it to be? Because by wanting something to be the way we want it to be, D, that's when we get frustrated. Because more often than not, it doesn't turn out the way we want it to be. Because more often than not, what we want is kind of a fantasy. It's a demand that we're putting on something else in order for us to feel better. So when I think of, so take for example, I mentioned the word more money. If you and I work with each other and we've got a boss, and that boss drives a Rolls Royce and we're just in our whatever we drive, and we think, do you know what, we're doing more than that boss. Morris Minor, yeah. We're doing more than what he's doing, so we want more money.
Yeah.
So we go to him and say, boss, we need some more money because we're working these hours and that kind of thing. Reluctantly, he gives us more money and we feel all right. But we don't feel all right.
What kind of boss are you? What kind of boss you got?
Well, there you go. But we don't feel all right. It's not sustainable, that all rightness. Mm-hmm. But what happens is we're not aware that when we're asking for more money, it increases inflation. Because if he's giving us more money, then he's put his prices up for his raw materials, take for example, and then they've got to put their prices up. So the point I'm trying to make with it is, when we're asking for something, usually it's to fill a demand that we've got, but in more cases, it doesn't fill that demand. And as a result, that's what makes us more frustrated. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, the less demands that we have of the external world, trying to conform to what we want, the less we will be frustrated. So you mentioned the analogy with the football team, which is a good analogy and a good example. But it's when we get frustrated at something or someone, it's primarily because we want that something or someone to yield to our demands. To what we want.
Yeah. Your ideal.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we eliminate that, then we're not going to get frustrated. If we eliminate that demand on that person, that individual, that company, whoever it is, if we eliminate our demands, we won't get frustrated. It's when we're demanding something, that's when we get frustrated. And that's the key for me. Have no demands.
Right. Okay. So you say no demands, and then demands is it's a big word, right? It's a big word because it reaches a wide spectrum of what demand actually means.
Right.
Because if I want to be successful at my job, to get more money,
right,
to provide for my family, if you have a family, to be able to go on those holidays that we tend to want to go on 2-3 times a year, to drive the nice car, to wear the nice clothes, all superficial. It's all superficial stuff, mind you. And be very interested in, just remember this, because I'm going to then take it back to the days of, I'm going to take it back to being a tribesman. I'm going to take it back to being a hunter-gatherer.
Right.
Because in those days, what demands did they have then?
Right.
But let's, as we're talking now, so me personally, if I want to excel at being a better person, and I believe the better person is to earn more money, to provide my family, go to the right schools, all of that malarkey, right or wrong, that's the way I am. So what you're saying is, I shouldn't have that demand on myself.
Yeah. Because then you won't become frustrated when it doesn't transform into something that you want it to transform into.
So it's in my own life, how do I become the person that I want to be able to achieve those higher goals in life?
Right, good point. You mentioned the hunter-gatherer.
Yeah.
I think, this is just me personally speaking, the hierarchy of needs, you need a roof over your head, that kind of thing, shelter, clothing,
water,
all that, right? Once we've got that...
The Maslow theory thing.
Right, yes. Once we've got that, there should be no other demand. But because we live in what I call a sick society, and you mentioned the word superficial and materialistic, that everybody wants to get this, everybody wants to get that, rightly or wrongly, that's what creates the frustration. Because in most cases, not many people can get what they think that they should have. And that's what creates the frustration. Whereas if I've got a roof over my head, I can pay the bills, I can function. If I just leave it like that, I'm going to be all right. But I'm not going to be all right, because we live in a world where we see this, we see that, somebody says, why don't you get this, why don't you got that? And then that's where the frustration comes in, because very often we can't get that thing that we think that we should have. That's where I'm coming from with it.
I get it. I get where you're coming from with it. But the way I kind of look at it, because we are in that sick society that you mentioned on many occasions, which is true, because the world, I mean, again, we spoke off camera about the sick society, but let's not go into that particular subject.
Maybe another time for that.
Right now, yeah. But the more we want, it becomes then greed, and it is greed.
There you go.
Because all we do need is the basics.
Yeah.
They say some of the happiest people in this world, and studies have accumulated over the years, the happiest people in this world are the people that haven't got anything near what we've got.
Right.
Because you can go and visit them, and they will give you anything they have.
Right.
I've watched this program called, there's two sets. There's the celebrity version and just Joe Blogg's You and I version. It's called Race Around the World.
Right.
And so they get a group of people, it's normally in pairs. There could be a family member, mother, father, together, wife, husband, partner, whatever it may be. The last one I watched was called Celebrity, Race Around the World. And what they do is they drop them in a location, give them X amount of money, a bare minimum, no mobile phones, take your mobile phones off you, take your credit cards off you, and you've got to get from point A to point B in 30 days.
Right.
And so they have to travel across jungle in Brazil, and they've got Malaya, and on all of these deserted places, like in Saudi Arabia, just drop. So they've got to find their way. They've got a map, and that's all they've got.
Yeah.
And what they do is they find people just in the middle of nowhere,
right,
and they go, "Can you help me? I need a bed for the night." And these people don't know who they are. Yes, the cameras are there and stuff, but they don't know who they are. They don't even speak the same language.
Right.
And they're helping them out. They're giving them beds.
Right.
They're giving them food. They're saying, if you work on the land and so on, so we'll even give you a bit of money.
Right.
So you can to help you on your way.
And these people that you're saying haven't got anything themselves.
They've got nothing themselves.
In comparison to the other people.
In comparison to what we've got.
Right.
Because And they're happy and content with life. And if you're not happy and content with your life, and I get what you're saying, but because we're in the 21st century, Western world, that's difficult.
Right.
It is so difficult to not be frustrated
Right.
or not want those things.
It is,
isn't it?
You're right, Dee. It is difficult, right? But I think it's possible to not be frustrated because of not expecting those demands or not trying to get the external things to conform to our inner fantasies. Because in most cases, it is a fantasy that people have got in terms of what they want out of life, as opposed to just having the basics. In most cases, what people want out of life, in most cases, they never get. Mm-hmm. So they spend the vast majority of their lives in frustration because they can't get the person in the life, the money, the environment, whatever it is. They spend all their lives trying to get that thing that the vast majority of them don't get. So they spend the vast majority of life in frustration where they don't really need to be in that situation. If they would just focus on the fact that, do I really want this? Why do I want it? And if I'm just wanting it because this society is telling me to get it, and that's how I'm being run, then therefore I've got to look at myself as being I'm a sheep then.
Yeah.
I'm quite.
And we all are.
Right. But we all don't have to be.
Correct. We don't have to be. But again, and I'll chew your face off again with it. It's difficult. It's so difficult in the world we live in. Which is why I say, yeah, I do get frustrated. But because I know that frustration, whatever I have, is not going to help matters, that frustration blows over. So what I'm saying, so you're saying don't get frustrated. I'm saying there's an element of us that can't help being frustrated. But if you find yourself getting frustrated, take that breath. Because I know in the world that we do live in, not everyone can just go, well, that's it. I'm not going to.
And everyone, I'm not saying that I never get frustrated. What I'm saying is,
we don't need to be.
Right, but what I'm saying is, the thing that makes me think about what I want out of life, if I know that, you know what, this is going to cause me some frustration. Not frustration as in like it's going to be hard work frustration.
Oh, yeah.
No problem with hard work. But frustration as in like, do I really want that thing? And trying to get that thing, how long is it going to take me? And it might well not come to fruition because it's a fantasy that I've got that I believe that this is something that I should have in my life. When I've got the basic stuff in my life, and if I can just be grateful with that, then I'm not going to get frustrated as much as I would be if I'm just sucked into this sick society, as in like, right, you got to get this latest this, you got to get this latest that. That's when we become frustrated. And frustration is a subtle form of anger.
Yeah.
That's all they say.
Yeah.
So to eliminate that in order to feel better more often, I'm saying we should give it a whirl in terms of not being frustrated and looking at what we've got instead of trying to get the external things in life to conform with what we feel we need.
And that is the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the fact that you're able to realise that that's external, and if you really want that, and you have to realise if you've got no control over that external aspect, why are you then getting so het up over it?
Right.
Why are you then getting...
Yeah. Or peel another layer back. Why do you want that thing in the first place if you know that you've no control over it and as a result it's going to make you frustrated? You've no control of it anyway.
Right.
So why do I feel like I need to gravitate to that or want that? And it's because I'm listening to the wrong information. I'm listening to the wrong people giving me the wrong information, saying that I must get this, saying I must get that. Instead of me thinking, or you thinking, or you thinking, or all of us thinking, do I really need that? And what price am I going to pay in order to think that I need that? Is it worth being frustrated about or not? And in most cases, it's not worth being frustrated about. Because in most cases, we don't get the thing in the first place.
Nothing. I don't think anything is worth being frustrated about. I don't think anything is worth it.
But yeah, at the top of the conversation, I asked you and I asked everybody else, do you get frustrated?
Yeah.
And you said yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I do, right? But the point I'm trying to make is, if that is the case then, where you're saying it's nothing's worth getting frustrated about, but we still get frustrated though, do you?
Yeah. But so here I am, as you said at the top of the conversation, and I said, I do get frustrated. Right. I will. And I'll probably continue to get an element, because it's human nature, it just triggers straight away. You can't have, because it's an emotion. It is an emotion. You see something, you want it, that's an emotion, but you can't get it. You reach out for it, you can't get it. You're frustrated. But don't let that frustration eat into you, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Let's just, a prime example for the viewers, Owen and I set up this podcast, and this podcast to us is special. And some people, a lot of people turn around and went, you'll never have a podcast, you'll never do that. You can't do it. And you either take that on board, or you say, no, that's what I want.
Right.
That's what I want.
Right.
And that's what we wanted to do. Right. We set up this podcast so we can get what words that we've got to people out there, so they can resonate with, and hopefully empower them to change their ways if they feel that they're going down a wrong path, or if they feel, maybe I should take that on board.
Right.
And that's what we did it for.
Right.
Nothing else. We haven't done this for money. We've done this to get our word out there to as many people as possible. And if we've the amount of things that happened whilst we're doing, I mean, the viewers, you won't know some of the issues that we've had, and we call those issues the devil.
Right.
And we think the devil's not going to beat us. And there's been an element sometimes when things have happened.
Right.
And you go, why did that happen? And you do feel an element of frustration, but then you overcome it, dust it off, get it out of your head, get that frustration out of your head, and move on. Because you believe in producing, we believed that we want to produce this podcast.
Right. So therefore, and that's a good example, so therefore, D, unless you're doing something that you really and truly want to do,
and it's in your power,
to do, then do it. There will be an element of frustration with it, but if you look at it rightly, it won't be frustration, it'll just be something that you want to do, as opposed to trying to get things to conform to your inner fantasies or inner demands, which more often than not doesn't, and more often than not causes you frustration, and more often than not causes you emotional imbalance within yourself.
That's the key.
And that's the key.
And that's the key.
Yeah.
Because, and again, I look at it as, it's okay, my personal opinion, it's okay to be for, but don't let that take that balance the wrong way. Because once that balance goes the wrong way, you become, what was it, anger you said?
Yeah, it turns into anger. Yeah.
It turns into anger. Anger turns into much deeper, could turn into a much deeper element of hatred.
Right.
It could turn into despising something or someone, and it spirals.
Yeah.
And where does that spiral stop? So for me, frustration, but stop it there. As soon as you feel it, breathe, stop it there, and move forward to take it to the level where it's supposed to be, which is produce the thing that you really believe in, and not the superficial stuff.
Yeah, that's the key.
Actually don't really matter.
Yeah, and to bring this thing down for London D and everyone, that is the key point. It's first and foremost us as individuals being consciously aware of, what do I want? Why do I want this particular thing? And if I'm aware that it's going to cause me some frustration, a lot of frustration, then at that point, we've all got the power to say, well, I'm not doing it. Not out of, as in like, I'm not giving something a try. I'm not trying to do something. But just in reality that, no, this thing that I want is going to turn into a fantasy, but it's also going to turn into a massive frustration, and therefore it's going to affect me badly.
And you'll know what it is. You'll know inside.
Without a doubt.
Right or wrong.
Yeah. So that's the key. So that's it for me. You need to say a few words as always.
My few words, as always, would normally be please like, subscribe, and share. our podcasts, our episodes. But I'd also like to say thank you so much, each and every one of you, because what you've done is our subscriptions have risen.
Big thank you.
Which means more and more people are engaging, more and more people are actually connecting with us.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. The more you can share it, the more you like it, the more people will see it. And I can only say thank you so much for helping us try and achieve our aim, and we'll try not to get frustrated. Well, I will try not to get frustrated if it all goes sour and we lose those subscriptions. But thanks very much. Keep it going.
Until next time, bye from me.
And a bye from me.